Deptus Mechanicus Logis Biologist Reassessment Dossier. Subject, Moebian 21st Regiment. Initial classification, Loyalist Astra Militarum Regiment. Revised classification, Traitoris Militarum. Nurgle contaminated. Theater, Atoma Prime, Hive Tertium. Primary sources, pre-fall Munitorum records, post-fall security, picked stills, New Spheric Vox intercepts, first-hand accounts from Morningstar penal operatives, rejects, compiler, Logis Unit Sigma Trece Zeta, clearance, Magos Dominus or above. I, prefatory correction. Earlier, Mechanicus dossiers identified the Moebian 21st Regiment as a functional loyalist asset operating under inquisitorial authority. That classification is now obsolete. This document supersedes all prior positive assessments. The Moebian 21st were, by all verified records, a capable and disciplined regiment prior to exposure. Their subsequent corruption does not retroactively negate their former utility, but it does demand a precise accounting of where function decayed into heresy. This unit will therefore separate pre-fall efficiency from post-fall contamination. Sentiment will not be applied. Praise will be restricted to verifiable performance metrics only, and only until the moment of collapse. Second pre-fall record, verified loyalist performance. Prior to the Atoma Prime deployment, the Moebian 21st maintained an exemplary service history. Munitorum records indicate high survival rates in prolonged Hive and Manufactorum campaigns, strong compliance with environmental hazard protocols, low incidence of insubordination or morale fracture, effective integration of rebreather discipline and sealed gear doctrine. Their origin on damp industrial hive worlds fostered resilience against filth, corrosion, and attritional warfare. This was not faith, it was conditioning. Conditioning functioned as intended. Uniform discipline, most notably the constant use of rebreathers, reduced airborne casualty rates and improved operational longevity. The practice also reduced emotional degradation by limiting sensory exposure. This unit notes the practice as mechanically sound. Up to this point, the Moebian 21st met or exceeded Astra Militarum expectations. Third, initial deployment to Atoma Prime. The Moebian 21st arrived on Atoma Prime during a period of civil instability, not open heresy. Their initial role involved patrol reinforcement, infrastructure security, and investigatory deployments into lower Hive districts. At this stage, no confirmed warp contamination is present in the data. Early reports describe disciplined advance, measured use of force, and consistent command hierarchy. Engagements with insurgent elements resulted in predictable casualties on both sides. Nothing anomalous. This unit classifies this phase as operationally normal. 4. The point of failure. The fall did not occur suddenly. It occurred through prolonged exposure. The Moebian 21st were repeatedly deployed into zones of biological decay, unclassified contagion, and civilian collapse. Rot was omnipresent. Death was normalized. Extraction windows shortened. Command directives shifted from stabilization to suppression. This unit identifies a critical error. The regiment was left too long in the same environment without rotation. This violated standard militarum doctrine. Fatigue accumulated, losses mounted, recovery did not occur. At this stage, morale degradation is measurable, not fear, but resignation. V. Nurgle contamination vector. Unlike Khorne corruption, which manifests through rage, or Tzeentch corruption, which manifests through ambition, Nurgle corruption infiltrates through acceptance. Security picked stills and Vox fragments show Moebian troopers remaining in contaminated zones without complaint. Rebreathers stayed on. Gear remained sealed. Symptoms were ignored. This unit notes the irony. Their greatest strength, endurance, became their vulnerability. Medical logs show increasing reports of illness dismissed as manageable. Injury triage became delayed. Hygiene standards degraded. Rot was no longer resisted. It was endured. That endurance crossed a threshold. 6. Formal reclassification. Heretics. The Moebian 21st are now confirmed Traitoris Militarum. Their loyalty to the Imperium has been overwritten by devotion, conscious or otherwise, to Nurgle. Post-fall picked stills reveal uniform modifications, corroded armor worn without repair. Rebreathers fuse permanently to masks. Visible lesions ignored rather than treated. Ritual markings incorporated into gear. This is not negligence, it is affirmation. The regiment no longer attempts to preserve itself. It persists. This unit designates all organized Moebian 21st elements encountered after this phase as heretical combatants. 7. Post-fall combat doctrine. Heretical Moebian forces retain much of their former tactical discipline. This is the primary danger. They hold corridors effectively. They use overlapping fire. They advance slowly and refuse retreat. Casualties are ignored. Wounded continue fighting. This unit assesses that faith has replaced logistics. Unlike frenzied cultists, the corrupted Moebians fight with patience. Their presence is oppressive rather than explosive. They grind forward. Reject accounts frequently describe them as calm, quiet, and already dead. This assessment is accurate. 8. Psychological warfare. Post-fall Moebians do not chant excessively. They do not boast. They do not rush. They wait. This behavior induces significant morale damage in Imperial forces. Troopers accustomed to chaotic enemies find the silence unsettling. The Moebians advance regardless of losses, showing no fear response. This unit categorizes this as a Nurgle-aligned Terra doctrine. 9. Exceptions. Non-fallen elements. It must be recorded accurately that not all Moebian personnel fell. Scattered reports indicate isolated squads or individuals resisted corruption. These survivors either defected to inquisitorial custody, were executed by their own regiment, or died holding positions against both heretic and infected forces. These individuals are not representative of the regiment as a whole. This unit records their resistance as statistically insignificant, but doctrinally relevant. They demonstrate that failure was not inevitable, it was cumulative. X. Current assessment. The Moebian 21st are no longer soldiers, they are vectors. They retain discipline, training, and battlefield knowledge, but these traits are now in service to decay. Their endurance is no longer admirable, it is malignant. This unit issues the following assessment. Pre-fall, competent, disciplined, environmentally adapted loyalist regiment. Point of failure, prolonged exposure without relief. Normalization of rot, post-fall, heretical force optimized for attritional warfare and psychological erosion. Any positive language beyond this point is inaccurate. 11th, final recommendation. Engagement with Moebian 21st elements should proceed under Traitoris Militarum protocols. Do not attempt recovery. Do not attempt negotiation. Do not attempt redemption in the field. Those few who resisted corruption must be treated as individuals, not representatives. The regiment itself is lost. This unit concludes that the Moebian 21st did not fall because they were weak. They fell because they endured longer than they should have. End revised dossier. Data sealed. Thought purge recommended. Final action. This file has been encrypted, checksum sanctified, and access restricted under Magos Dominus authority. Unauthorized retrieval will trigger auto-purge and Binharic alarm rights. Praise be the Omnissiah.